Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. WWE Extreme Rules is less than 2 weeks away now, live on the WWE Network for just $9.99 or free for some of you out there. Regardless of the case, NoDQ.com has got you covered with the latest news, rumors, and of course, live results coverage. I will be live tweeting as I do every month for WWE pay-per-view events, so stay tuned for all that. Let's get down to your questions now from spring.me/Aaron Rift. First one today comes from Kayfabe Candy Ass. What did you think of CM Punk's recent comments? Just another hypocritical statement on his lately bratty bitch rant. Yeah, a phony world that he made a real lot of money in and still uses his phony name to promote himself in a real sport. F that guy. For those of you that did not read the interview, CM Punk basically said that being a top star or a champion in WWE doesn't really matter because it's not real, and what matters is being the best in a real sport like UFC. And he specifically used the word phony, which got a lot of people upset. Here's my take on it. CM Punk knows how to play the game. He knows what to do and what to say to generate publicity and get his name out there. He wants all the people that do not like him to tune into the UFC fight and see him possibly get his ass kicked. He wants as many people to tune in for his UFC fight as possible. So he will go out there and he will say things that he knows will offend people. He will ruffle up the feathers. That's what he's going to do. He is going to promote his fight, and he will say things that are controversial. As Eric Bischoff said, controversy creates cash. It's just CM Punk working people and saying things to get his name out there in the headlines. That's how I see it. People out there should not take it too seriously. CM Punk, I don't really feel that he is that negative on the wrestling business that he sees it as completely phony and he completely hates it. Maybe he does for all I know, but I just sense that it's him trying to get people talking about him and saying whatever it takes to get his name out there in the headlines. All right, this one comes from JR Virons707. Do you think Neville is a future champion? I think he's the most promising superstar of all the NXT roster. What are your thoughts? Please answer in video and keep up the awesome work. Well, you didn't specify what kind of champion. Are you talking about an IC champion or a US champion or a tag team champion? If that's the case, I would say yes, he will be a future champion. Will he be a future WWE World Heavyweight Champion? That I'm not so sure about. Daniel Bryan was an exception to the rule. He was a guy that did not fit the mold of a WWE World Champion, but he somehow managed to overcome the odds. Maybe the yes chance helped him along the way, and maybe, just maybe, there's something out there for Neville that could catch on and he could become World Champion one day, but I think the odds are against it. I see Neville being a mid to upper card star in WWE. I see him being similar to Evan Bourne, a guy who is really flashy in the ring, can do all the high-flying stuff, is really impressive, but there's only so far he's going to go, and unfortunately there's going to be that glass ceiling because he's short and he doesn't really fit the look of a top-tier WWE star. Things could always change. He could somehow manage to overcome the odds and become a top star. There's no question. But if I had to make a prediction, I would say that no, he's not going to become WWE World Champion, but he will be a force in the company, possibly winning the IC US or tag team title. All right, this one comes from Simon Lindner. Hey Aaron, who do you see going over Brock Lesnar in the future? If it's not Reigns beating him clean, who will beat him clean and be the next top star? Well, a lot of people are debating about this. Who will be the guy that finally beats Brock Lesnar? Who will be the guy that is able to beat the guy that ended Undertaker's streak and get over as a result? I really feel it should be a guy that is going to be the next face of the company. This is what I've been talking about for the past year now, that the guy that should beat Brock Lesnar should be the next guy, a guy that WWE is going to invest everything in, and a guy who's going to be around in the company for years to come. Is Roman Reigns that guy? A lot of people would say no, and WWE did not pull the trigger at WrestleMania, but there's still time. There's still a possibility that we could see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar again. Maybe at SummerSlam, maybe at next year's WrestleMania. Maybe by then Roman Reigns will be ready, or maybe WWE will just go with it and ignore the vocal minority. And based off the last couple of weeks, Roman Reigns has gotten good reactions. He got a good reaction on SmackDown. He got a good reaction on Raw. And WWE might just chalk it up to a vocal minority, and WWE needs to just go with him and ignore those vocal fans, those guys that hijacked the Royal Rumble, those fans that hijacked Raw with all their negative chants, like the worse than Cena chants. Roman Reigns very well could be the guy. Now, looking past Roman Reigns, I don't know. I really don't know who would be the guy to beat Brock Lesnar. It shouldn't be Daniel Bryan. It shouldn't be John Cena, obviously. It shouldn't be a lot of guys. Seth Rollins, if he was a babyface, maybe you could argue for him. But there's just not a lot of guys on the roster right now that I feel would be that guy to beat Brock Lesnar. It has to be somebody who's really credible, somebody who is portrayed at a John Cena level to beat Brock Lesnar. I mean, it needs to be credible. And there's only a few guys that it could possibly be, and Roman Reigns is at the top of the list. But if there's nobody on the immediate horizon, then maybe it's best to not have Brock Lesnar be defeated for a long time. I mean, he just signed a new deal with WWE. He's going to be around for the time being. So maybe 2 years down the line, that new guy will come along. There's nothing but time. All right, this one comes from That Was My Fault. Hey, Aaron, now that the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage, two guys that nobody would have expected into the Hall of Fame, do you see Chris Benoit or Owen Hart getting inducted? Please answer in video. Keep up the good work, and greetings from Germany. Chris Benoit, easy answer, no. I would say that there's a better chance of Neville becoming WWE World Champion and having a one-year reign as champion. I think the odds are great of that happening. Owen Hart getting inducted, that comes down to Martha Hart. I've talked about this before. She is against Owen Hart going into the Hall of Fame, and WWE does not want that negative publicity. If WWE inducted Owen Hart against her will, she would go public with her frustrations, and it would just make WWE look bad. They want to make sure that she is on board with it before they even go there. I think Owen Hart will go in one day, but that is going to be up to Martha and what she wants. WWE doesn't want all the negative publicity. If Owen Hart goes in the Hall of Fame, they want it to be as positive as possible without getting the negative publicity. Martha Hart, she has to be the one that decides that it's okay for Owen Hart to go into the Hall of Fame. I really feel WWE will not go there until they get her to agree to it. All right, this one comes from L. Cooper 87. Greetings from Edinburgh. Do you think Sting versus The Undertaker can be a good match? Personally, I think it's 10 years too late. Well, it's definitely getting late to do that match. It would have been ideal to have that match take place 3 or 4 years ago. 2011, there was a lot of buzz about Sting and The Undertaker. And I think Undertaker was still capable of having a really good match back then. Now, I'm not so sure. I mean, it really is about the personalities. When it's Undertaker versus Sting, you're not watching that match to see an all-time classic wrestling performance or technical match or even a great brawl. You're watching it for the star power. You're watching it to see two of the biggest names of all time going face-to-face and duking it out to see who wins. It doesn't really matter the quality of the match so much as it's about the personalities and building up those personalities. You look at Hogan and The Rock. Technically, that was not a good match, but it was about the personalities, and that's why people still remember it to this day. Sting and Undertaker, they don't really need to have a good match. As long as they have a good story and good build and the crowd is hot for it, it'll still be entertaining and it'll still be memorable. That's what it comes down to. Yes, it should have been done a long time ago, but as they say, sometimes it's better late than never. All right, this one comes from Chris Norigat. Greetings from Germany. Please answer in video. Keep up the good work. Who would be your 8 picks for the next year of the Hall of Fame? I would like to see Andy Kaufman, Paul Heyman, Vader, The Undertaker, Sting, DDP, Jim Johnston, and Lou Thesz. Well, first off, I would not have 8 people go into the Hall of Fame next year. I think that that's overkill. I would stick to 5 names at the most. And, WWE's upset about the Hall of Fame going too long. Don't have so many people go in, for one thing. As far as this list, it's a very impressive list. I would definitely go with either Sting or The Undertaker to headline next year. Maybe even do both together. But I feel it's better to split them up because you're going to run out of top names. But then again, it would be kind of a cool story to have Undertaker and Sting go at it, and also both of them going into the Hall of Fame together the same year that they have their match. That would be something cool. Paul Heyman absolutely should be in. Andy Kaufman, as far as celebrity wings of the Hall of Fame go, he definitely deserves to go in. He was very memorable in his feud with Jerry Lawler, and yes, it wasn't WWE, but still, Andy Kaufman, I think, really set the standard for celebrities in wrestling. I mean, he really did a lot for the business, and I think he should go in. DDP definitely should go in. Jim Johnston would be cool. Lou Thesz, obviously. And Vader's interesting because Vader was at the ceremony this year, and that leads me to believe that WWE's working with him and they're on good terms with him, and I very well could see Vader go in pretty soon, either next year or the year after. All right, this one comes from AKing2B83. Hey Aaron, what's up? Love the Super Mario T, by the way. I just recently seen the trailer to E60 WWE Behind the Curtain on ESPN set to air next month. Looks to be pretty in-depth. Have you seen it, and what do you expect from it? Thanks. Oh, and real quick before I answer this question, going back to the Hall of Fame question, I could also see the NWO going in as a group now that Hogan, Hall, and Nash have all gone in on their own. I could definitely see the 3 of them going in as a group next year in Dallas. Anyways, moving on to the question here regarding WWE ESPN trailer. I have not seen it, but I think it's a positive for WWE that they are getting more publicity on ESPN. And, there's some sports fans out there that are critical of it. They don't like the fact that ESPN is starting to cover WWE. And for the most part over the years, ESPN hasn't really covered WWE much. But then again, they cover poker. And is poker a real sport? WWE, it's a simulated sport. And, it's definitely a positive for WWE that they're getting this kind of coverage. And, anytime you have a mainstream network, mainstream news outlet covering WWE, that's a good thing. And over time, I think people are more accepting of WWE as entertainment. And it does have the sports aspect to it. So if you're going to have poker coverage on ESPN, why not WWE coverage? All right, last question here from N2-C. Hey Aaron, please answer in video. What do you think is the most memorable match of Eddie Guerrero and why? And how good was he with the mic in your opinion? Thanks, and keep them coming. Well, Eddie Guerrero was tremendous on the mic. He was always extremely entertaining, very charismatic. And as far as his most memorable match goes, I would have to say the match where he won the world title. No Way Out 2004, defeating Brock Lesnar. Very few people have been able to beat Brock Lesnar, especially since he ended the streak. Nobody has beat him. So Eddie Guerrero is one of those few guys, besides John Cena and Triple H and a few others, Kurt Angle. Very few guys have been able to defeat Brock Lesnar, and Eddie Guerrero was one of them. And anytime you can win the world title, that's something special. And Eddie Guerrero overcame the odds. Going back to earlier with Neville, Eddie Guerrero was one of those guys that didn't really fit the mold of a world champion. So for him to win it, that was a really big deal. And, that would be his biggest match, in my opinion. But so many matches that he's had over the years. The matches with Rey Mysterio, both in WCW and WWE. And his match against Kurt Angle. you know, at WrestleMania. But those would be his most memorable ones, in my opinion. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it on Facebook and Twitter, and I will see you guys next time for more.